Over the past few weeks, I have continued to play HiFi Rush, and I have to say I'm still having an amazing time with it. I'm a few levels further in than I was at that point, and it's been a real joy to kind of see how Chai's rhythmic action-adventure unfolds, and also see some really cool new twists in the story, and some really fun abilities that I was not aware of when I first started playing the game. So this is really just a quick follow-up to that previous video, because like I mentioned in that last one when I talked about HiFi Rush initially with my impressions, I was playing it on the Xbox Series X thanks to Game Pass. However, since then, the publisher was kind enough to offer me a key for the game for Steam, and I just immediately jumped on the opportunity because even though I mentioned that the game should run well on the Steam Deck, I did not know for myself and didn't have a chance to test it. Well, now I have had a chance to test it, and these are my findings in playing HiFi Rush on the Steam Deck. For starters, as is routine for most of the games that I play on the deck, I went straight into the graphics options to see what the default settings looked like, and as I imagined, they were set at a conservative medium setting for the most part. And predictably, it kept a pretty rock-solid 60 FPS when I played through some of those opening moments. And that's particularly important in a game like HiFi Rush. While a smooth 60 is preferable in just about any game, in HiFi Rush you're encouraged to perform each attack to the beat of the music, meaning that an inconsistent frame rate might cause issues with the timing. So as much as I might love to marvel at the sickeningly vibrant world of HiFi Rush, it wouldn't amount to much if the gameplay itself suffered and I struggled to time the attacks. However, after seeing how it looked at the default settings, I went ahead and tried to up the settings to high, and while I initially expected everything would get a lot more wonky from a frame rate perspective, it actually remained pretty consistent with only the occasional dips into the high 50s. However, these mostly seem to occur during cutscene transitions rather than in actual gameplay. And if I didn't constantly leave the frame rate displayed on the Steam Deck interface, I'm not even positive I would have caught it. That being said, while I could increase the visual fidelity of everything on screen, it didn't seem to make a ton of difference. Although if you're a more discerning player when it comes to graphical presentation, these differences might be more apparent to you. All I can say as a casual gamer is that it didn't make a whole lot of difference to me. And I think visually that's my biggest takeaway after putting in time on both the Xbox and the Steam Deck at this point. Yes, it's clear that the visuals definitely pop more effectively on a big old 4K TV, particularly when it comes to the black outlines around the characters, but that's going to be true of pretty much any game when you've got the option of playing on a smaller screen at 1280 by 800 versus a much larger screen at 3840 by 2160. As a fan of this visual style, I personally would prefer to play it on the big screen since it does come off a lot like a Pixar movie. But for some rhythm-based action on the go, I'd have zero qualms about playing it there too, especially if I was on a mission to clean up any collectibles or challenges that I might have missed in my first go-around on each of HiFi Rush's levels. And speaking of on-the-go performance, when it comes to battery life, if you're going to leave it in that 60 FPS range, you can expect to get around 2 hours of battery life unplugged. However, if you do drop down to lock the FPS and refresh rates to 40, it looks like you can get a little over 3 hours of play out of it. So overall, I'd say you'd be good to clear 1 or maybe 2 levels at a whack if you're quick, since each stage seems to be taking me around 45 minutes to an hour, depending on how thorough I am with exploration, or just, how much I get wrecked by that stage's boss. All in all, my conclusion from my original video on HiFi Rush remains in that wherever you decide to play it, you can expect to have a great time with this one. But if you're the type who likes to squeeze in some play sessions here and there on the go, or just generally love handheld gaming like I do, HiFi Rush doesn't disappoint on the Steam Deck either. Really, I was just super curious to see if the game did play just as well on the Steam Deck as the time that I had spent with it on the Xbox, and for the most part, it's been pretty flawless. Like, you can definitely notice a little bit of a loss in visual fidelity on the smaller screen, but for the most part, I would say that's negligible, especially if you're just getting completely absorbed in HiFi Rush's incredible gameplay and just, incredibly colorful world. Alright, and that's it for this one. Again, just a really quick follow-up to the prior HiFi Rush video that I did. Still an amazing game, and I'm very happy to see that not a lot was lost in translation in playing it on the small screen either. So, what about you? Have you already played HiFi Rush? If so, did you check it out on the Series X like I did initially on Game Pass, or did you just go ahead and take the leap on PC or Steam Deck? Would love to hear your thoughts on the game as well. As always, thank you so much for your time and watching these videos. Have an amazing day, and I'll see you on the next one.